In the world of molecular biology, specifically with proteins, several insurmountable problems loom large for Darwinists. First is the extreme rarity of functional proteins. In their 2023 article, Defending Douglas Acts on the Rarity of Protein Folds, Miller and Casey Luskin report that functional probabilities for 10 protein domains range from 1 in 10 to the power of 24 to 1 in 10 to the power of 126. To state the obvious, these odds make winning the Powerball lottery look trivial, even mundane in comparison. Moreover, even if Darwinian processes somehow manage to stumble upon an extremely rare functional sequence, the trial and error processes of Darwinian evolution would still fail to explain how the protein folds into its final, correctly folded configuration. This is known as the Levinthal paradox. This conundrum, named after Cyrus Levinthal, posits a seemingly impossible task, which can be stated as such: a relatively small protein of only 100 amino acids can take some 10 to the 100 different configurations. If it tried these shapes at the rate of 100 billion a second, it would take longer than the age of the universe to find the correct one. Just how these molecules do the job in nanoseconds, nobody knows. Now, this isn't just a theoretical puzzle. How a protein folds is critical to how it functions. And this folding process is so precise, so consistent, that it blatantly defies the trial and error processes of Darwinian evolution. To repeat, just how these molecules do the job in nanoseconds, nobody knows. In the heart of this paradox, a fascinating discovery was made. In the 2011 article titled Physicists Discover Quantum Law of Protein Folding, researchers found that the Levinthal paradox could be explained if, as they stated, the process of folding is a quantum affair. Yes, you heard that right. The tiny world of quantum mechanics, where particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously, and actions can influence distant particles instantaneously, can explain the Levinthal paradox. And indeed, proteins are now found to be quantum critical conductors. As stated in the article titled Quantum Criticality in a Wide Range of Important Biomolecules, most of the molecules taking part actively in biochemical processes are tuned exactly to the transition point and are critical conductors. This is of no help to Darwinists. As further stated in the article, the possibility of finding even one biomolecule that is in the quantum critical state by accident is mind-bogglingly small, and to all intents and purposes impossible, of the order of 10 to the minus 50 of possible small biomolecules, and even less for proteins. This presents a major problem for Darwinists, as Stuart Lindsay further clarified in his subsequent 2018 article titled Quantum Critical Proteins. There is no obvious evolutionary reason why a protein should evolve toward a quantum critical state, and there is no chance at all that the state could occur randomly. Moreover, in the 2020 article titled Physicists Finally Observe a Link Between Quantum Criticality and Entanglement, it is now shown that quantum criticality and quantum entanglement are linked. Yet here's the thing. Quantum entanglement requires a non-local, beyond space and time cause in order to explain its effect. As stated in the 2012 article titled Looking Beyond Space and Time to Cope with Quantum Theory, our result gives weight to the idea that quantum correlations somehow arise from outside space-time, in the sense that no story in space and time can describe them. In short, the within space and time processes of Darwinian evolution are at a complete loss to explain why a beyond space and time effect exists in proteins, and are thus at a complete loss to explain quantum critical proteins. But the challenges for Darwinists don't stop there. Even if a protein could somehow reach this beyond space and time quantum critical state, it still couldn't transform or evolve into a new protein. In her 2014 article, Enzyme Families, Shared Evolutionary History or Shared Design, Dr. Ann Gager explains that if enzymes can't be recruited to genuinely new functions by unguided means, no matter how similar they are, the evolutionary story is false. Dr. Gauger further states, the total number of mutations needed is at least 4, 1 for duplication, 1 for overproduction, and 2 or more single base changes. The waiting time required to achieve 4 mutations is 10 to the 15 years. That's longer than the age of the universe. Moreover, the chances of existing proteins binding with other proteins in new and useful ways is also extremely prohibitive. Dr. Micahel Behe of Lehigh University found the likelihood of developing 2 binding sites in a protein complex would be the square of the probability of developing one, a double CCC, chloroquine complexity cluster, 10 to the 20 times 10 to the 20, which is 10 to the 40. There have likely been fewer than 10 to the 40 cells in the entire world in the past 4 billion years. So the odds are against a single event of this variety, just 2 binding sites being generated by accident in the history of life. It is biologically unreasonable. So what do we have? We have incredibly rare proteins that fold in incredibly specific ways, governed by the laws of quantum mechanics. We have proteins that exist in a quantum critical state, a beyond space and time state that blatantly defies the materialism of Darwinian evolution. We have existing proteins that can't transform into new ones within the age of the universe, and struggle to bind with others in new ways within the history of life on Earth. All these elements together paint a compelling picture. No matter how you look at the picture, when it comes to proteins, Darwinists are faced by astronomically prohibitive probabilities, no matter which way they turn. In conclusion, this picture of the extreme rarity and non-evolvability of proteins challenges our understanding of life and evolution, and pushes us to think beyond the confines of space and time. Even challenging us, and even challenging Darwinian atheists, to hopefully consider God as the correct beyond space and time explanation for proteins, and thus, life. As John 1 verse 4 states, "In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind."